Roland Martin had a debate this past Saturday against Larry Elder, and that debate was held and telecast live on One America News Network, which unfortunately DirecTV doesn't carry. Otherwise, I would have been more than happy to have clips from that debate on. But here's Roland Martin's comments regarding the debate he had with Larry Elder and what happened later on with Trump surrogate Omarosa.
Tom, good morning here in Los Angeles. And so, of course, yeah, we had the debate with me and Larry Elder on Saturday. Tom, he might need some voodoo dolls because brother's in serious pain this morning. Didn't go quite well for Brother Larry on Saturday. But I want to thank Bishop Kenneth Ohlman and all the folks who attended the debate as well. We had a good time. Let me tell you how bad it was, Tom. Omarosa and Stephen Bradford were supposed to come on stage as surrogates for Hillary Clinton and Donald Trump. Yeah. Through the first half, I was kicking Elder's butt so bad, the Trump people told the organizers, we will not let Omarosa come out on stage.
We don't have that much ice.
They pulled her, they said we will not have her come out on stage. And so, yeah, it was a little rough for Larry Elder. All right, so let's...
I only wish I can find that. I have been searching the internet for that debate all day long, you know, with as much free time as I have available, and I found the online promo for it, but I couldn't actually find the debate itself. I'm going to continue to look for it. Trust me, if I can find that, I will damn sure post a video because I sure wanted to see Larry Elder get his butt kicked. Okay guys, I was able to find about 11 minutes of the debate that Roland Martin had against Larry Elder at the Faithful Central Bible Church in Los Angeles. I'm going to see if I can find the full debate, but I doubt that that's going to be available unless I can find some way to find One America Network and see if they can point me in the right direction. Unfortunately, I have DirecTV, and DirecTV doesn't have this particular channel, so I'm trying to find someplace else where I can find the full debate. Which, if I do, I'll post it. But this is about 11 minutes of it, and in this particular clip, Roland Martin basically wears out Larry Elder. Here we go.
Plans to deal with this. We have to deal with the reality of lying police officers who the community cannot trust. If you look at what happened in Chicago, the only reason the officer who killed Laquan McDonald has been charged with murder is because we saw the dash cam video that they fought for an entire year to release. The officer who killed Walter Scott lied on his police report and said he was running towards him, and after he shot him, he gave him first aid. The video tells a different story. If the police want the community to trust them, then the greatest no snitching policy in America, which is in police departments, has to end. You can't ask the community to do one thing when the so-called good cops are protecting the other ones because they say it might be me tomorrow.
And how does the community support the good cops to bring them into the fold, in your view, so that they are not ostracized for the ones that are doing the right things? How do you build those partnerships and ensure that you are supporting the officers that are doing the right things?
Because those good cops have to open their mouths. They can't be silent. Look, when Fred Hampton was killed by the Cook County State's Attorney's Office, a Black Panther in Chicago, when he was killed in 1969, Renault Robinson, who founded the Black Patrolmen's League, was one of those cops they trusted in Chicago. But we know there is cops we trust. In Arkansas, there's a white cop called Tommy Norman. If you go to his Instagram page or Twitter account, he has more than 500,000 followers because he's actually in the community. You cannot continue to have individuals who are precinct. You have to have a relationship. Look, I know lots of good cops, but good cops can't stay silent when you have these thugs with badges and guns who are brutalizing people and doing it under protection of the law.
Thank you. Mr. Elder, is the issue of officer-involved shootings in the black community and a call for criminal justice something that should be studied by a nonpartisan commission, or is this a community issue to be solved at the local level in your view?
The Black Lives Matter movement is the biggest fraud that's been perpetuated on this country and on the black community since the O.J. Simpson case. According to Washington Post, there were 965 people who were killed by the police last year. 500 of them are white. I defy you to name one. 250 of them were black. According to the Center for Disease Control, over the past 45 years, police shootings against blacks have been down 75%, while police shootings against whites have flatlined. Here's the problem. 25% of those shot by the police are black. That's because there is a great deal of violence going on in the inner city. A young black man is 7 times more likely to be victimized by homicide than a young white man. The number one preventable cause of death in the white community are car accidents. The number one preventable cause of death in the black community is homicide, generally at the hands of another black person. What's going on in the inner city is a complete and total breakdown because of people like Mr. Martin who are telling officers that when you do your job, you're a racist. So they're pulling back, and as a result, you're seeing crime go up in Baltimore, crime going up in Chicago, crime going up in St. Louis, and the victims of that crime are usually the same black people that people like Mr. Martin claim to care about. If you really care, you'd be talking about these individuals who are bad. From time to time, there's a bad shooting, but it's rare. It's rare for the cops to kill anybody. 250 black people were killed last year. 400 Americans were injured by lightning. If the media covered people who were injured by lightning the way they cover black people killed by cops, I wouldn't leave the house in the rain.
Let's take a look real quick. Let's take a look at some of what, wait, let's take a look at what, I'll give you a chance to respond. Let's take a look at some of what Mr. Elder is referring to in this recent Black Lives Matter march. Mr. Martin.
This was interesting. Prove to me what I call racist cops. Prove it.
Prove what?
You just said, well, Mr. Martin, he keeps calling cops racist. When?
I said the
No.
Black Lives Matter movement.
No. That's not what you said. No. That's not what you said. You said, Larry, it's called fact check. See, here's the deal, Larry. I rarely ever call somebody a racist unless I have the undeniable facts to back it up. But see, when you throw, when you throw some mess, when you throw some mess out, I'm gonna call you out on it. See, here's the problem, Larry. The reality is, the issues with blue is blue. It's not always black. It's not always white. It's the protection of the complexion of blue. The problem we have in this country, Larry, is literally we have police officers who do not want to be held accountable for their actions. The cops in Baltimore are angry that Marilyn Mosby had the audacity, the unmitigated gall to charge those cops as if they are above the law. The cops in Chicago angry because the exact same thing. Cops around this country, unfortunately, get mad when all of a sudden the law applies to them like it should apply to them, but they only want to apply to us. And so even when you have multiple cases here, where you have cops who have lied on the witness stand in Chicago, and the judge is sitting there going, you are lying, then they don't come back and even investigate the cops. So how can police talk about trust in the community if the community can't trust the police? If I am with somebody who is abusing me, verbally or physically, I'm going to need you to acknowledge that you are an abuser, as opposed to say, I gave you some roses and I'm here to save you. But also, here's what's interesting. She asked you about criminal justice reform. You didn't say about that. You offer nothing concrete. You offer nothing about community policing. You sounded just like Donald Trump. If we are going to change, and here's the other piece, because now, but I gotta say this here, because I don't like it when people go on television in front of people and they sound foolish. 40 new laws in 24 states have been passed as a result of the protests of Black Lives Matter. The reason the Attorney General in New York now investigates every police shooting is because Governor Cuomo signed the executive order pushed by Black Lives Matter. The reason we have a dramatic increase in America of body cameras is because of Black Lives Matter. And here's the other piece that you don't understand. Black people have always fought for rights in America that benefited everybody else. Title IX,
Mr. Martin, we need time for his response.
don't dismiss Black Lives Matter when actually they are fighting for you to make sure that your constitutional rights are protected just like everybody else.
If you want to be helpful, one of the things you ought to tell young black people is to comply. Every single one of these deaths could have been avoided had they simply complied. You have-
Every single one.
You have no right to disobey a lawful order. You have no right to disobey an unlawful order unless the cop is using excessive force. In the case of Tamir Rice, in the case of Eric Garner, in the case of Freddie Gray, in the case of Michael Brown, they'd all be alive had they complied. And that's what you ought to be telling young black men. And deal with any kind of injustice later on. I have to finish. I happen to be a proponent of dash cams and body cams, and I think that the more evidence we have about what police officers do, the better. Out here in
So
California,
are you calling out the governors who are signed to be keep the video private?
I'd like to finish, please.
Are you calling out the governors who are trying to keep the video private?
30 seconds, please.
Out here
30 seconds.
in Rialto,
We have to go to a break.
In Rialto, California, a city of about 68,000 people, they equipped all the officers with body cams. Initially, there was resistance on the part of the officers. But what happened? Use of force declined dramatically, and citizen complaints
77%.
and citizen complaint declined dramatically as well. It improved the behavior of both the officer and the civilian. So I'm in favor of the dash cam.
So
but primarily, you should be telling young black men to comply, and they will be alive. Instead of telling them that they're victims, tell them to comply, they will be alive.
Okay, so
deal with any kind of injustice later on.
Larry, you mentioned Tamir Rice. It was 2 seconds from the moment the door opened and the cop shot him. Tell me what order did he give to comply? Larry, you said, hold on, Larry.
You have to question.
You said every
Ask
shooting.
the question. And I include that one.
Mr. Elder, Mr. Martin, we have to move on. We have to, thank you for this topic.
He
We
said
have to
every
move
shooting.
on.
He said every shooting. Tell Rakia Boyd's family that when Chicago cop Dante Servin walked into a group, fired some shots, shot her in the head, and then he got out for it. Tell me she did something wrong.
Okay.
You said every shooting.
Mr. Martin and Mr. Elder, if I could please ask you to stay within the confines of our debate. Thank you for that
I was gonna stay with some
discussion.
factual
We
stuff.
do have to turn now to our attention on the topic of illegal immigration.
All right, so Larry Elder is full of shit, okay? And excuse my language, but he's full of shit. Number one, Roland Martin never calls cops racist. He calls the individual people who act racist. He does not label all cops as racist. Number two, that Larry Elder bullshit line about telling all young black men to comply. Hell, we do comply, and then they shoot us anyway. Look at what happened to the black man in Chicago, okay? I'm sorry, the black man in San Francisco that wasn't doing anything, was a homeless man. The cops harassed him, turned him on his back, and shot him in the back and killed him. If that was, he was complying. He wasn't doing anything, he was complying. Look at Tamir Rice. That boy never had a chance. That cop got out of that car, and 2 seconds later, that boy was he was shot and dying. Look at John Crawford in a Walmart being shot by cops, and all he had was a toy rifle that Walmart sold. Okay, so Larry Elder talking this bullshit about compliance, okay, that's exactly what it is, bullshit. And none of these cops are held accountable. Now, as far as the Black Lives Matter movement is concerned, this man has no knowledge. He is ignorant regarding the Black Lives Matter movement, okay? I'm assuming that he's never gone on their website and looked at any of the things that any of their goals and aspirations, you know, and the things that they have accomplished, and all of the various organizations around the country that are affiliated with Black Lives Matter. I did a video on it, okay? Now, as far as him stating that out of 900 shootings last year, 500 of the shootings were of white people, he wants us to dismiss the fact that 400 of the 900 were of non-white people. He's acting like we should ignore that. White people can fight their own battles. We are attempting to fight ours. They have all the help that they need when they want to go fight their battles. We need help. We need to come together. We need to help ourselves. So Larry Elder can kiss my ass, and I only wish, and I'm still going to look for the entire video of this. And as a matter of fact, I know someone that's going to Los Angeles tomorrow, and I'm going to specifically ask her to go over to Faithful Central to see if they can get a copy of the complete debate. If I can, I am damn sure going to post it online, because my understanding is Roland Martin wore his ass out from the moment they started to the moment they finished. Folks, I found another 14 minutes of video on that Roland Martin Larry Elder debate. I apologize for the quality. I'm taking this off of a poor quality feed on Facebook from the Faithful, I'm sorry, this was posted by the LA Focus. So just the audio is okay. You're just gonna have to bear with me on the video.
Folks there not to abide by the Supreme Court decision dealing with same-sex marriage. You can be against that issue as a person of faith, but when you are an elected official, you are sworn to uphold and protect the U.S. Constitution. And there are going to be times when a decision of the Constitution or the courts conflicts with your personal view. That means, Judge Roy Moore, you might need to resign as Chief Justice. But that is the law. Now, we can't play this game.
Was the law founded on principles of faith?
No, it wasn't. And the problem is, what you can't do is, you can't play a game of like all these decisions. Oh, I don't like that one, so I'm going to ignore that one. You have a rule of law, and that's what governs the nation. That's just reality. And so I said years ago, Roy Moore, if you say this conflicts with my faith, you might need to leave office, but you have to uphold the law. You can't play the game of pick and choose, because folks tried that after Brown versus Board of Education, and we said the law is the law.
Mr. Elder.
John Adams, one of the founding fathers, said that the Constitution is written for a people who is moral and religious. It is wholly unsuitable for a people who is neither. One of my concerns about Democrats is they talk the talk about faith, but they often don't walk the walk about it. There is a book that Obama wrote called Dreams from My Father, his first book, where he talks about meeting Reverend Jeremiah Wright. He arrived at the church early, Wright wasn't there yet. A black church worker who worked with Jeremiah Wright for a long time told Obama that she's a single mom, has a son, and the son wants to be in the marching band. Her high school, however, did not have a marching band. She was thinking about relocating to the suburbs so the kid would be in the marching band and get free uniforms. She told Obama that Jeremiah Wright was trying to talk her out of going because he thought that that son, being in an all-white neighborhood, would lose his ethnic identity. He's telling this to a biracial man Obama, who's got a white mother, and his white mother sent him from Indonesia to live with her parents, so he could go to Punahou private school, and then go to Oxford private school, and then go to Columbia private school, and then Harvard private school. But here Jeremiah Wright is telling Obama that he doesn't want his worker's son to have the same route that he has. And Obama, rather than calling him a racist, rather than saying, what's wrong with you, how dare you deprive this woman of giving her son an opportunity, Obama joined the church. Why? Because the church was well connected. And Obama wanted to use the church for political reasons, not for moral or religious reasons.
Now, I'm trying to figure out how all of a sudden we got to Reverend Wright when the question was about faith in politics. That ain't had nothing to do with faith in politics. Now, what Larry also did not acknowledge,
About development, as you're saying,
what Larry also did not acknowledge, because he'll conveniently skip over that, is that same Reverend Wright he's talking about is the one who signed up for the Marines. Same Reverend Wright left the Marines, signed up for the U.S. Navy. Same Reverend Wright, who as a leader of his church is one of the most profound leaders in the community there. The same Reverend Wright. Now here's the deal. There are pastors. There are pastors who make decisions that we all can disagree with. It happens every Larry.
They do it.
It happens every day. Here's what I know. What I know is if I had to put Reverend Wright's record of black folks on a trial, and then you were the prosecutor, I'm gonna side with him every single moment of the day because he has a track record, not your isolated point that ain't got nothing to do with the question.
I think language has a big part to play in how language is phrased by someone say Reverend Wright and how that gins up the debate, so to speak. That is plain and incite people to do exactly what Democrats are accusing Trump of doing right now. Having people at his rallies.
Can you say language? Define that. What do you mean?
Language he was criticized.
Specifically, what?
I don't have a current example, but as you know, during the last campaign, there was a lot of criticism about the language he used in his churches to get people fired up into the polls. And some view his language, the things that he said, as racist remarks.
So, here's what I did, unlike most folks in media. I had a radio show on WBON Radio in Chicago. And so when the excerpts of his sermon came out, I went on the air and I said, I need somebody at the church to bring me a copy because I want to hear the whole sermon. So they brought me a copy of the whole sermon. And in one of the sermons that people were criticized, when Wright preached, when he said, people change, God never changes. He laid out how people chose Plessy versus Ferguson. Then he laid out, he went through this whole historical list where he said, people change, but God never changes. And when you heard the sermon, you heard something called context. Then when people criticized, when he talked about GD America, he laid out a litany of atrocities that the nation had sanctioned against black people, against Native Americans, and others. So here's what I find interesting. Folk were mad at him for saying GD America, just like they're mad at Colin Kaepernick, but they're not mad at why they said it. So when I actually did a breakdown of his sermon, I actually listened to it. So what I say is, don't get caught up in somebody else's game.
such a sterling person. But regarding race, here's what the Democratic Party does.
People leave churches every day. Boy, stop.
Here's what the Democratic Party does.
Boy, stop.
Every Republican.
Pastor, Bishop, anybody left your church?
Here's what the Democratic Party does. Every Republican running, somehow, some way, a bigot. In 2012, when Mitt Romney was running, Joe Biden was addressing a black audience, and he was talking about how Mitt Romney did not want to put additional regulations on Wall Street. And Joe Biden said, he wants to unchain Wall Street, want to put y'all back in chains. That's insulting and condescending. Hillary goes to a black church, and she was in the Senate, and she said, the House is run like a plantation, and you know what I'm talking about. Claire McCaskill is a senator from Missouri right now. When she ran, she said George W. Bush let people die on rooftops in New Orleans because they were poor and they were black. Barney Frank said that George W. Bush responded slowly to Hurricane Katrina because he wanted ethnic cleansing by inaction. So every Republican is always a bigot. Maxine Waters called George Herbert Walker Bush, the good Bush, a racist. They always say that. Why? Because they want that 95% monolithic black vote without which they cannot win. And the way to get that is to say, these guys over here, they want you bad, they don't want you to be prosperous, they want to hurt you, they're racist. We wear the white hat, we ride the white horse, pull that lever for us, and then of course they don't do anything at all to fulfill their promises. That's what they do. That's a game they run every 4 years, which is why I believe in Bob Election's year, he called black people, if they were to vote again, 95% for Hillary, political chumps.
I hear numerous Republicans invoking plantation politics and
Name one.
black folks
Name
being
one.
Democratic slaves.
Name one.
Numerous. But Larry,
Name one.
again, Larry likes to play hopscotch over stuff like that. The point is this here, and I laid out to you earlier. If Republicans right now were not advancing, how many of y'all read the federal appellate decision about voter suppression in North Carolina? Federal judges said they used a laser-like focus to target black voters. Republicans, North Carolina. It's not my language. Federal judges. They said the Republicans in North Carolina asked for the voting data, specifically how many black folks voted in early voting, how many black people voted on Sunday. And then what they did was they constructed a new law in order to suppress the vote. This ain't my language. A federal judge said they had a laser-like focus targeting black voters. After the Supreme Court decision invalidating pre-clearance, the leading Republican in North Carolina said, now we can finally do what we've been waiting to do. So you tell me, Larry, how can black folks trust a Republican Party when they purposely changed the law to target black people?
Question?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
May I respond? The majority of black people want voter ID. Look at the polls. The majority of them.
Answer my question.
I thought you wanted me to answer the question.
Why did they shave off early voting days? Why did they get rid of Sunday voting? Why did they get rid of the law that allows 17-year-olds to register so when they turn 18 by election day, they can vote? Why did they get rid of same-day early voting?
Answer.
But the federal judges said they specifically asked for the black voting data.
Mr. Please respond.
When James O'Keefe walked into the voting precinct of Eric Holder and asked for his ballot, and someone handed it to him, we've got a problem. When Al Gore, during 2000, in his race against George W. Bush, tried to exclude the ballots of military personnel serving overseas, fighting in wars, we've got a problem. Don't give me this holier-than-thou attitude when Al Gore was trying to exclude military personnel. Please, and when Al Gore targeted just 3 districts that he thought were full Democratic votes in order to beat George W. Bush, don't tell me that the Democrats were concerned about vote outreach.
Did y'all just notice I specifically asked about North Carolina? Larry people in order to craft their bill. Was that wrong by North Carolina Republicans?
And Democrats never play games like that, do they? They never do. Al Gore targeted military ballots overseas.
Let me
He wasn't playing a
say
game.
to everybody in the room, Roland Martin called out Al Gore when they tried to block those military ballots. But Larry Elder doesn't have the guts to call out Republicans in North Carolina. And Larry, if you remember my point, you won't even call them out because you want to dance with them. I don't dance with Republicans or Democrats. I dance with black folks. Yes. Yes, she can. I would, wait a minute. You got one guy who couldn't even define the nuclear triad. Over here, I got somebody who's.
All right, so okay, that's a bit more, but I'm basically trying to piece this thing together. But it looks like Larry Elder got his ass whooped on a second subject. Okay, if anybody can find the full thing, I would appreciate you posting the full. I believe it was an hour's worth. And again, just to let you know, Larry Elder wasn't supposed to do that by himself. A Clinton surrogate was there and was prepared to come on stage. A Trump surrogate was there, and after Roland wore Larry out, they pulled the Trump surrogate. And in case you didn't know who that Trump surrogate was, it was Omarosa.
What's the best use of our 2016 presidential vote and why? And that's from Twitter. 20 seconds, gentlemen.
If you want to continue the same economic policies of the last 8 years that haven't worked, you know what you should do.
All right.
If you want to propose brand new regulations on businesses, you know what you should do. If you want to tax job creators, you know what you should do. If you want to continue losing the war on terror, you know what you should do.
Quickly.
If you want to buy a Trump suit made in Mexico, vote Trump. If you want to go with a guy who's shipped jobs overseas, who's filed bankruptcy 4 times, who actually lost $1 billion of shareholder value, but he made money. And again, if you want a man with no respect for women, then roll Larry. I can't go there.
All right, and that was the tail end of the debate. So I tried to piece together as much of it as I could. I apologize that it's going to be very choppy. Obviously, you know, it wasn't me on the video. Whoever was handling that video, they did a not so hot job of, you know, maintaining video focus. But, you know, it is what it is. At least we have the information. At least we have the you know, the debate vocal. You know, the video wasn't great, but, you know, you heard all of the vocal portions of it.